Welcome back to Fast Gadgets. So today I'm going to finish the Arch Linux installation that I started in part 1 of this series. So I have Arch installed and I have a text interface, but what I need to do now is get a graphical interface running. I just wanted to remind you that as I go through this installation, this is my first time doing it, so I definitely don't have all the answers and know everything. So as you watch me do the install, just know that this is definitely raw and uncensored, but it will be cut. So I'm going to cut out some of the more painful parts if I get stuck, so you don't have to sit there and watch me. And then I'll report to you what my findings were after the cut. So hopefully you enjoy, and hopefully you've enjoyed the first part. If you haven't seen the first part, I recommend watching that first and telling me what you think, and then coming back and watching this second part, and I will provide the link for the first part down in the description. So it did take me quite a bit of effort to get Arch running successfully, but after a while I did get it installed. Definitely took longer than the first video you're going to watch. I started it pretty late in the night, and then I think I worked on it for about 3 hours. So my first time doing it, I wasn't too worried, and of course I wasn't in a big hurry, so I definitely had a good time doing it. I really enjoy working in Linux no matter what the case, because I learned quite a lot. So anyway, I'm always one to use a guide, mainly because, again, I don't really know anything about Arch, and I just wanted to show this guide I found by Swapnil Bhartiya, and this was back in 2015, and this was on Mucktware, so I don't know how up to date it is. But even so, thank you and acknowledgement to Swapnil Bhartiya for providing this guide and doing the work ahead of time. It's seldom that we actually create new things as users. You know, usually, well, we might find our way through different problems and fix them ourselves and then add to the body of knowledge that's out there, but it's always good to acknowledge those who put forth the effort and do such a great job in creating these guides. This one's a little old, so maybe there will be problems. We'll find out soon enough, and if so, I will probably cut the video until I find the solution. But I have everything set up now. I've got boot up, and what I want to do is, now you can see he actually uses sudo, so every command that he runs, he does sudo, and I just went ahead and logged in as root because I know I'm going to be running quite a few commands, so might as well make it easier on myself. So I'm going to start out with pacman. I don't know what the switch capital S means, but I'm guessing it has to do with groups, and we can use the man command to actually check it. Let's see, sync, no, synchronize packages directly from the remote repositories, including all dependencies. Okay, that makes sense. In addition to packages, groups can be specified as well. Okay, so it basically is what it's going to do. So I do pacman -s for capital S, and then I'm going to do the GNOME or GNOME group and GNOME extra, which is some add-ons, and it will include the GDM, and I'll press enter. Wants to know what extras I want. I'm gonna say all, which is the default, so I actually don't have to. I'll just press enter. And 55 members in the GNOME extra group, so I'm gonna say enter to that. And there's a few more dependencies, and I'll say enter to that. There are 2 providers available for LibX. Well, this can be tricky because sometimes you can get the wrong one. I'm going to go with the default. Alright, So we're looking at 610 megabytes downloaded, uncompressed, 2.5 gigabytes. Wow. Yeah, that's the thing about the graphical image. I mean, right now I have a nice small little Arch install. I actually have kept a copy of this virtual machine as command line only because that don't look good. I wonder if it has to do with the mirror. Probably because I didn't set any mirrors. Well, I'm gonna break this. So it can't resolve the host. I wonder if I've got an IP address. ifconfig is not a valid command. Alright. So I cut briefly because I wanted to have a look at this. So basically, I'm used to using commands that you can find in Fedora like ifconfig and ifup and ifdown. IP-link, I believe, is a newer one. So with the help of Arch Linux Wiki, if you do an IP-link, you can see the state. And I'm going to try and put the mouse right next to what I'm talking about as far as the lines in my virtual machine. And basically, with an IP link, I knew that my default NIC was actually down. So apparently they're down by default. I don't know. I probably automate this a little later. Anyway, so ifup didn't work. So I did an IP link, set my NIC, my particular virtual Ethernet card up, and then here I did a show dev so that I could see if it was up, and it is actually up. So now I'm going to try to ping a domain. No. Maybe I spelled that wrong. Let's just try something easy. No. Okay, so what I ended up doing was following the Arch Wiki guide, and I set up a static connection because it doesn't look like I have the DHCPD package installed, which surprises me because it's one of the base packages, but I must have done something wrong and not installed it. So what I did was I edited resolve.conf and I put in my router's DNS server, and I changed NS switch so it would use resolve D, and then I created a file in Xfce systemd network for my network card and IP address and my gateway, which I was able to connect to, but I wasn't able to get out. So I changed the IP address, and for whatever reason that worked. I'm not even sure why. Maybe I had a conflict. So after setting up that file, I started the two services with systemctl. I actually did a start systemd.networkd.service, which it's already running, so my typo. Anyway, did that, and then I did a systemctl systemd resolve D service. Should have been found. Let me try that again. Systemctl. I'm going to just do a restart just for curiosity. Systemd dash. I put a period there. I love typos. I'm so good at typos. There's one thing I'm accomplished at, it's typos. So anyway, now if I do a ping google.com, I just did this 2 seconds ago and it worked perfectly fine. Alright, well, just spent another hour setting up a static IP. I turned off network.d and resolve.d and reversed all my settings, and I've used netctl instead, and I'm now actually getting a ping. But it's interesting, if I try to ping anything with an IPv6 it doesn't go through, but IPv4 does. So I'm really hoping we can get back to the whole point of installing the GUI. So I'm going to make the old college try again and see what happens. I want all the packages. I'll take the defaults. Yes. I'm really hoping this works. Oh, joyous occasion. It worked. While it's doing that, figured I'd let you know that the guide I used to set up a static IP address, I don't know who wrote this. Possibly this, maybe it was Dominic M. It is dominicm.com, and it was created on 15 February 2015. It wasn't quite as simple as his guide, because I first had to disable and undo everything I did with network.d and resolved. So it wasn't quite as simple as it could have been. I don't know why the static IP address did not work with the initial way I set it up, because I could ping outside IP addresses. What was interesting is after doing the Pacman sync databases, basically I could not connect out to the internet anymore, and so I decided to try netctl instead, and it actually worked just fine. Just keeping in mind I had to undo everything. So I had edited /etc/nsswitch.conf conf, so I had to undo that setting. Resolve.conf in Xfce folder was fine. I didn't have to make changes to that. I had to disable networkd and resolved using systemctl, and then I had to shut them down, and then I had to use IP-link to down the Ethernet interface, because netctl could not bring it up or shut it down until I did that. So I couldn't get control with it until I used IP-link to bring it down. So everything's looking good now. I'm thinking the outside guides that I found are actually better than the Arch guides. The Arch guides are, very detailed, so there's nothing really wrong with them. But they do tend to leave out some things, like I said before. Let's go to systemd as an example. So they talk about setting up systemd. They'll leave out critical steps that they just assume that you know, and that's pretty much my problem with, right here. To use the systemd networkd, you need to start and enable these services. And they're not really that helpful, so they don't give you the actual command syntax to start them or enable them. They do have a link, and I went to the enable link. I did find what I needed here for starting, and this was like something that was really old that I should have remembered anyway. That I haven't done in a while, but anyway, so it was a little bit cumbersome to navigate around. It would be nice if the commands were right there, and if we needed more information, we could have had a link giving us complete information of enabling and starting. So anyway, we're off to the races. We got the GUI installing. I'm going to take a break here and come back as soon as the install is done, and we'll see if we can get the graphical interface to launch. Alright, so I'm wrapping up the install of the graphical interface. I've chosen GNOME, and as you can see, pretty much everything's installed since I switched to netctl. Incidentally, I've changed my location, so I'm outside now on my deck, so it's a beautiful night out here. You may hear some cicadas and crickets, and if so, I apologize. I'll try to speak up so that you can hear everything okay. But anyway, I think what I'm going to do now, I could enable Gdm Services, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that, but in the future, I may disable it so that I can have command line only by default and initially. system CTL enable Gdm Services. I think I know why. When I did my Pac-Man, I only did GNOME. I didn't do GNOME Extra, so I'm going to do that now. And the reason was I wasn't sure if it was going to work, so I decided to do one package at a time. So let's see if we can get GNOME Extra to come in. Yep, we're going to do all. Proceed with installation, yes. Let's see how fast we can get these to download and get them installed. I'm right next to the Wi-Fi router, which really helps at this point. Quite a few things that are being reinstalled. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay, let's try that command again. System CTL enable Gdm Services. I wonder if it's just supposed to be service. I'll bet it is. Yep. Typo right there. So it's not services, it's service. Let's do Pac-Man, and we're going to install the GNOME tweak tool, which I always love having. So we'll grab that. And, well, technically speaking, I shouldn't have to reboot, so let's scroll down. Tool called software, which is a counterpart of the App Store. I do like software. So let's see if I can run this command. I don't know if I'm going to have the necessary packages installed, but we'll try anyway. Nope. So I'm not sure where to get that. I wonder if I could do it with Pac-Man. Yes, I can. Alright, this shouldn't take long. Excellent. Okay, so if I do a reboot, let's see what happens. Let's see if it automatically goes into the graphical interface now. Arch Linux. Alright, well, I'm going to pause this again because it's pretty clear we've got no GUI, and we really should. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more research once again, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Well, I was led to believe that Xorg or some X Windows system was already installed, so we're going to give this a try. I'm thinking that it was not installed by default. So I'm going to go ahead and install these. We'll see if it says it's reinstalling them. No, so they weren't installed before. This is the same author as before. I just went back, swap no Bartia. I don't think I need any of these drivers here. And I don't want to, I disabled automatically logging into GNOME right now, so I'm going to do another update just to be sure. Okay, there are no updates. That's cool. I suppose I could re-enable auto booting into GNOME and see what happens. I also disabled, there was another suggestion in the settings of the VM in display. I turned off 3D acceleration, at least temporarily, and we'll see what happens there. So what I really want to do now, systemctl enable gdm.service, and we'll reboot. If it doesn't work, I can just disable GDM again and I can try something else. Yeah, the VBox services aren't installed yet. I'm not worried about that. Okay, so it claims it started graphical interface. I'm going to try to go through F1, no, F2. That's my command line. So it's trying to start. Go back to Control Alt F1. And well, I got a little bit farther, but I really think I need those VirtualBox drivers. Alright, well, I just realized that audio wasn't recording on my previous video, so let me add a couple of notes here. Number one, I was able to get what appears to be X running, but it isn't. But I was able to compile the video drivers for VirtualBox by installing Linux headers instead of kernel-headers, which is what you usually install when you're using Fedora. So basically now, if I try to log in, I get boosted right back to the login screen. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to do Control Alt F2 and get a command line login. And then I'm going to have a look here. According to the official guide, Xorg is normally not used. The Wayland backend's used by default. Well, we don't want that because we're having problems, and they admit earlier on that overall it's not really supported. So let's edit custom.conf. It is uncommented, so uncomment the line below to force the login screen to use Xorg, which it is doing correctly. Alright, so I've done a couple more things. I had installed Xorg apps, so I did install that, and I did decide to go ahead and install Xfce. And even though things aren't working right now, I feel confident that it will be working soon, so I'm going to add Firefox. Why not, right? They actually recommend, this is another guide I found, getting the VirtualBox guest editions, guest add-ons from right from the Pacman install, but I've actually compiled mine, so I'm going to leave them, hoping that they will work. I'm going to let this update finish here, and I think I'm going to issue a reboot, and we'll see how things are going. Alright, let's see if it'll start. Alright, so by default, I did have it set for GNOME Classic. I'm going to change that back to GNOME. Nope, that didn't work. Let's see, I have Xfce now. We'll try that. No, so it's not really a desktop environment. It has something to do with Xorg, and I'm really not sure yet what it is. So I'm going to keep looking. Alright, well, I found another guide, and what I've done is disable automatically logging into the GNOME session. I've run this test here to test and see if GNOME is working. I did get a GUI, finally. I exited back out, and now what I'd like to find out, I didn't actually do a logout, but hey, whatever. I don't know if I want to enable the Gdm service or not, though. I don't know if that will actually work. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to exit and log on as myself. And I'm just curious. Well, actually, let's do exec gnome-session and see what we get. Yeah, it just pops right back to the login. I guess I could try it as root. Exec gnome.session. Exec gnome-session. Now, go back to root and log in, and let's do xinit gnome-session. So it took a few seconds. It stopped at this screen, and then eventually the GUI did load. So if I do log out, what do I get? Okay, well, we got the GNOME shell installed. We did that. Okay, well, I guess I'll try again. Systemctl enable gdm.service. I wonder if it would, if I logged in as root, if it would actually work. We'll try as a user first. Okay, well, I guess it's gonna work. I honestly have no idea what I did differently from earlier. I did install Xterm. So I had to do a pacman-s Xterm. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Let's see if the GUI is correctly running. I guess maybe it was Xterm. I can't imagine that of all things would have been causing the problem, but I did get an error message saying Xterm wasn't installed, so I went ahead and installed it, and that's the only difference that I can think of. We're gonna switch to full screen here. Yeah, it's scaling immediately, so everything's working correctly. Let's launch the browser, because I did install Firefox, and just find out if it works. Alright. Looks like we're getting out to the internet. Right now I'm in 1080p mode, just to make sure, but we are on external sites. Yeah, it's working. What kind of tools do we have by default? Quite a lot of stuff installed by default. Everything that I would expect that I use with Fedora is here. And then a lot more. Tons of games. Text editor. The usual goodies. I'd need, you know, some kind of Office. But, okay, I'm impressed. It actually did install correctly. It is running 1280 by 720. This should be able to do... There we go. Keep changes. Yeah, it didn't scale correctly with the scaling and all those issues, but otherwise it looks really awesome. Oh, you know what else? What was I thinking? I've got scale factor set for 150, of course. There we go. Much, much better. So if I do Control F, let's see what display setting. 1920. There we go. Yeah, I don't even have to do any scaling. It did it for me. Everything actually looks great. I just had my virtual machine external scaling set to 150, which I definitely don't need. So we installed software, so I should be able to get other programs. Why don't we try LibreOffice. So it looks like I have to do each element. That's too bad. I just want to do everything at once. Alright, we'll go for one of them. And of course I got to put in authentication. Conflicting dependencies. Oh well. Well, I want to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed everything. It was definitely an interesting installation for me. And I see my doggies are out and all excited, even though there's nothing to be excited about. Unless they're excited because we successfully installed Arch Linux, which would be awesome. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. It's going to take me a little while to compile this video together. Got quite a few sections, but should have it out pretty quick. Thanks for watching.